What is going on, guys? My name is Jeremy. Welcome to the very first episode of my brand new podcast series known as the Invertcast. The podcast series I decided to start as I really wanted to get into different types of content, as well as recording my YouTube videos and occasionally doing live streams both on Instagram and YouTube. So you guys can probably tell from the name of this podcast, guys, the Invertcast podcast is mainly going to be focusing on all things inverts, from husbandry, breeding, and everything in between. Now, with this podcast series, guys, I'm not too sure where I want to go with it. For now, when I have the time to sit down and record an episode, I will do so. But if you guys are enjoying the series, I will try to record as many episodes as I can when I can. Hopefully, eventually doing a podcast once a week. So yeah, as I said, this podcast I'm going to be mainly talking about inverts, occasionally on my own on certain subjects, but I do plan on bringing on guests as well, which will be really exciting. Hopefully I can get some really cool guests on this podcast, but we shall see what the future holds for us. So you guys know, pilot episodes don't really have any specific subjects, so today's episode is going to be mainly me sitting down in front of a mic and rambling for as long as I feel like doing so. So let's get right into talking about myself. So if you guys don't know already, my name is Jeremy and I run the YouTube channel Jeremy's Wild World. Now, I started this channel around 2 years ago. Just did this for fun, really. I was in college at the time and my friends were telling me, you know what, Jeremy, why don't you start a YouTube channel? So I was like, you know what, let's give it a go and see how I like it. Now, you guys know that when you first, or if you guys have done so, anything you do for the first time is kind of cringeworthy. And if you guys watch my very first episodes on my YouTube channel, they are quite cringe to say the least. I was very robotic, talking really slow, and like it doesn't really sound natural at all, and the videos weren't great, but you know, I've got to keep them up there as it is history in my YouTube channel. And, so I started off recording a video here and there on a variety of animals I used to keep. I really wanted to do mainly fish-based videos because I was at the time really into the aquatics hobby, but of course now I'm really into my inverts. Still keep fish, but I mainly focus on inverts now as that's where my passion lies at the moment. But when it comes to animals, when I was a young kid, I always loved all different types of animals. You can name it, I loved it. And big shows, I know some of you guys know already, Steve Irwin, Nigel Marvin, David Attenborough, like those guys were my childhood. I loved Nigel Marvin's Prehistoric Park, like that was one of my favorite series as far as I can remember. I used to love that show, had it on DVD, watched it pretty much every day when I was like 6 years old until my parents got sick of it. And yeah, so I really did love animals from a young age, like most animal keepers do. I find that, you know, it starts as a passion as a young age, and I really am glad that I got into the animals, as you know, it's really interesting. And nowadays, you know, keeping inverts, I have a variety of different types. I keep all species from mantis, tarantulas, true spiders, scorpions, anything you name, I probably have kept or currently keep in my collection. My current favorites are beetles. I'm really into my beetles as of this episode that I'm recording at the moment. Really love breeding beetles. I've had success breeding multiple stag beetle species, and I have bred rhino beetles, and I'm currently breeding some flower beetles as well, so fingers crossed that all goes successful. And I really love my mantis as well. At the time of recording this podcast, I have actually had a recent hatch of Raptrix, which is an ant mimic species, one of my absolute favorites, and just had the small ooth hatch and set them all up today. Really excited to have those in my collection. And yeah, so not unlike others like the invert hobby, for me, I really wanted to make it into a career. I really am looking into doing education or breeding and selling, as I currently do on the side at the moment. It's not my main job, but yeah, so like I really enjoy the whole process of breeding and, you know, raising the young and getting them to adulthood and everything. But I would love to turn that into a business someday. I do sell the occasional stuff, so if you guys are listening and you guys are in the UK, feel free to pop a message over to my Instagram, which is Jeremy's Wild World _. We can talk about anything that I have available. I do breed a variety of inverts, as I do keep a variety of inverts. And yeah, so pretty much just breed what I can when I can, and hopefully I can build up enough species that I can sell as a business, and pretty much, you know, do the YouTube videos and everything in between. And yeah, YouTube wise, really love doing YouTube. Like, doing YouTube over the past 2 years has really opened my eyes up in the hobby. I've met some fantastic people. I can only give a few shout outs. Shout out to Ben over at Ben's Pets. Shout out to Sam over at Bug Realms. Amy from Pet Rock and Roll. Just to name a few. I love the invert community here that we have here in the UK. You meet some really nice people. Like this year in 2021, we've had a couple invert shows so far. And I've been to both, and it's been fantastic. Just, the whole hobby in general, we just have a really great community. Like, compared to other hobbies, I find that the invert hobby, we're quite tight-knit. Like, we get along for the most part, and I just really enjoy a hobby, to be honest. At the moment, my room currently is not a room, a bedroom, more like. It's a bug room with a bed in it. Every single spot in my room that I could put some bugs in, put some bugs there. But yeah, so I've got quite the variety at the moment. You guys can see on my channel that I have a variety of inverts, and it's just really cool just having all these different species. Like, you see them on the TV as a kid, and just to have them in person now has been absolutely amazing. And it's just like, I never thought that a couple years ago that I would be keeping bugs in my bedroom. Like, I wanted to keep multiple fish tanks, like at least fish tanks is like, to the average person, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool, yeah, fish tanks look nice. But now, I tell people that my bedroom's full of bugs, they look at me like I'm some weirdo, right? But it's a really nice hobby that I've gone into recently. And I've literally only been, coming November, I'll be in the hobby for 2 years. Started in November of 2019 when I went to the Southern Invert Show in Brighton, and ever since then I've just had a blast. Like, every day I just coming home from work and just doing the maintenance on the mantis, and all the inverts I currently have, the watering, the feeding. Like, I just enjoy every moment of this hobby, and I'm really glad that I've gotten into this hobby and decided to invest my time in taking care of these animals and everything, because it's good. It's a good way to pass the time. It's a different hobby, to say the least, but at least I enjoy it. It's a great hobby to have. It's kind of like having, playing football or something like that, right? Like, or like collecting Pokemon cards. I'll be like, look, I collect species of praying mantis and tarantulas and beetles and stuff. Like, yeah, that's cool, right? Or at least to me it's cool. But yeah, so pretty much just this podcast series and everything, gonna be me rambling. I'm pretty much rambling today, if I'm completely honest. This episode's not going to be really long. I'm probably going to talk for about 15 to 20 minutes just about random subjects and everything. But yeah, let's talk about currently what are my first inverts. Now, if you guys pop over to my channel, you will see the Southern Invert Show 2019 pickups and clips. All the inverts I got in that video were my very first inverts. So I started off with a colony of dairy cow isopods, a giant Asian mantis, a regal jumping spider. What else did I actually get? I got a pair of millipedes, orange banded millipedes, I believe. Yeah, they were the orange banded. I had a colony of domino roaches, some sun beetles as well, if I remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so I started off with those. Prior to that, the only inverts I kept were actually African land snails. Those were an interesting rescue. They were actually babies that were produced in a not like a care home, it's more like for children. What do they call those? Like a nursery? Yeah, they had a nursery, and when you keep two snails together, you're going to have babies, and they gave some away. I ended up taking, I think, 4 or 5. They were, can't remember the species, if I'm completely honest. Like, I'm not knowledgeable with snails at all. But yeah, I rescued those, and those were my first inverts at the time. Keeping the fish as well. I had 3 fish tanks, but I got the snails because they were free, and at the time I was living in a smaller house. I didn't have a lot of space, and the snails just matched the space requirements I had at the time. They were quite cool to keep as well. Not really into my snails at the moment, but I do want like an ovum at some point. Like, that would be really cool to keep. But yeah, so I went from the land snails, ended up rehoming those, and then I got those inverts I got at the Southern Invert Show. And I swear, every time I re-watch that video, I'm looking at the prices and I'm looking at the species that they had at the show. I'm like, my god, if I was me going back then, my god, I would probably spend about £500 at the show, if I'm completely honest. There were so many good things there, but at the time I was in a small room, didn't have a lot of space, sharing a room with your sister. You're not gonna want to keep too many bugs. Like, I was pushing it with the ones I came home with, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, so started off with those, and ever since then moved into the other house I currently live in with my family, and they've been, it's great that they've been accepting of my hobby. I really do appreciate that. They support it and everything, allowing me to keep all the species I currently keep. But yeah, it's been a great journey so far, and I hope it continues to go this way, with successes of raising animals or inverts to adulthood, or like breeding. At the moment, I've got projects with the Raptrix, of course. Got one more oof that's waiting to hatch, so hopefully I'll be getting that species established here in the UK. I've also paired up tiger wandering spiders, which is the sea salé. Just paired those up recently, so hoping for an egg sac from that. Also got awaiting sacs from Delicitheli diamantinensis. Now, please do not roast my scientific pronunciations. It's not the greatest, but I paired those up, as well as the Cochiana bronipes. I'm not good with tarantulas common names, but yeah, so I paired up the diamantinensis, Cochiana bronipes, and the sea salé spider-wise. I have actually in the past paired Phidippus regis jumping spiders, raising a couple slings that survived at the moment, as well as I've got a trio, one male to two females of Phidippus species ometepe. That's going to be exciting to raise those to adulthood. I've got a few mantis species that I've got pairs of at the moment, that being the Sphygnomantis medioconstrictor. I've got Helvia cardinalis, Hymenopus coronatus, the yellow orchid, and the normal orchid mantis. I've also got a pair of Deroplates truncata, the triangle deadleaf mantis. Hopefully I'll be pairing some of those as well. And I keep everything pretty much. Like, I keep some communals as well. Like, the main communal I currently keep is the blue death laning beetles and the desert hairy scorpion, which is really cool. That's a really nice communal, and if you're listening to this podcast, hopefully in the next couple of days I'll be recording a video to do with the communal. Breeding wise, I've also got colonies of isopods, with some species being your common Porcellio laevis, the dairy cow, and giant orange. And I've also got some Cubara species as well. Cubara species panda king, armadillidiums. You've got the Armadillidium maculatum, the zebras, the Armadillidium klugi montenegro, which are the clown isopods. And of course, I mentioned that I'm breeding beetles as well. Ixothyrus parrii I've got grubs of. I have Lamprima dolphinae grubs as well. I have 4 of those right now. Currently waiting on some what's the species called again? P. mulleri, or the rainbow stag beetle eggs. I collected 8 the other day, so hopefully those are all fertile and I'll get 8 lovely grubs from them. And yeah, so keeping inverts, the benefit of them is, like, if you feel like it, you can breed them. And some hobbyists say that, if you're not experienced you shouldn't breed, but for me, if you have the confidence and you have you have the female, why not give it a go? Like, that's all in the part of the hobby, is giving things a go. You have your arachnophobes who try keeping spiders as a go, it gets over their fear. So you'll never know if you'll get success or not if you don't give it a go, right? Like, I never thought a year ago, 2 years ago, that I would be breeding as many species as I breed at the moment, and I've been very happy to do so. Like, I enjoy it. Like, yeah, I can breed for the money, but I mainly breed for the experience and because I enjoy doing so as well. So yeah, pretty much just been talking today, guys. I'm not going to make this a very long episode, probably just going to end it here. But yeah, be looking forward to the future episodes of this podcast, guys. I hope you guys do enjoy the series. I'm going to come up with some topics to talk about in the next episode. Maybe do one or two. Not too sure how I'm going to be doing it yet. But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed today's podcast, please let me know. And yeah, so that's all for today, guys. Thanks for listening to the Invertcast, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.